Hey everybody, Preferred Selection here. We're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel today, something that I hope to be a new series. We're not going to be playing Terraria, although Terraria videos are still coming. We're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering, and we're going to be doing some Commander deck building. Something I've always felt like is kind of missing from when people show off these deck techs of like, oh, here's their Commander deck, and here's how they built it, why they made the card choices, but you don't see, like, if you're new to that, you can look at their 5-minute deck tech and be like, yeah, these cards are good, I guess I could copy the list, but you might not know yourself how to deck build. So what we're going to do is kind of go through an actual full deck building. We're going to build an entire deck in this video. That's all we're going to do. And we're going to talk about the choices made, and it's going to be a budget video. We're going to keep this under $100. And $100 might not sound like that much of a budget, but let's just go ahead and look at a little, like, how much is a breeding pool? You know, a little shock land. You don't think much about adding your little shock land. $24. You probably have one of these in your collection. If you were to build this, you'd probably toss your breeding pool in there, think nothing of it. That's a quarter of our budget right there, if we're talking singles. I feel like a lot of the cards that are going in this deck are going to be cards that you already have lying around. Like, if I go ahead and tell you, hey, we're going to throw a Ponder in this deck, that'll be, sure, we'll call that the first card that we'll add. Ponder is going to cost us $1.80 of our budget. But, I mean, if you've been drafting for any amount of time, if you've been playing the game for any amount of time, modern or whatever, standard, you probably have legacy even, you probably have so many ponders in a binder, in a trade binder sitting somewhere, that hopefully this deck, if you can't build it out of your collection, maybe you haven't been playing that long, hopefully you're only going and getting a few pieces. And this isn't really the kind of deck tutorial where I'm doing this to show you, hey, go build this. It's more to show you how to think about building and how to approach making a commander deck. So the first thing we can do is we can look at our general. I picked out Mimeoplasm because I believe that green and blue, I think, are the two strongest colors in Commander. They can make for a really nice solid base because they both kind of fix your mana. Blue fixes your mana by giving you like deck filtering and card draw and options, and green fixes your mana by being green. It is the color of mana fixing. We're going to go lean heavily on those two colors, I think. We're probably not going to have that many black cards. Just to make the budget a little easier, because we saw how much our lands would cost if we added like any kind of mana base. I want to run mostly basics in this, like 20 to 30 basics if I can. Speaking of, we can go ahead and do, just to have things happening on the screen, we can go ahead and add another gimme right now. Before we go into more structured building, command tower, nice little, you can see I've got these sorted by price, and I'm showing all sets, so makes it a little easier for me, but you've probably got a command tower lying around if you've been playing EDH for any amount of time. Probably not an issue for you. So sort these by mana cost. But let's talk plan. So there's our general. Our general is really good. I'm not going to talk too much about every card that goes in this deck because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. It might be an hour long. Bear with. You all already know how long it is. I don't. So what this general does is it's like a really good body double. You play this and it copies and exiles, so it's a little bit of graveyard hate. It exiles a card in a graveyard and it becomes a copy of it. Then it exiles a second creature in any graveyard. It doesn't have to be yours, doesn't have to be your opponent's. The wording from graveyards is so powerful because you can use this to remove a reanimator target from your opponent, to grab something that you put in your own graveyard through self-mill. And you get +1/+1 counters from one card, and then you get the effect of another one. So, like, maybe you just remove like a 10/10 from your opponent's graveyard, and you grab an Eternal Witness or something from your own yard. You get the effect of the Eternal Witness, but you also, it's like a 12/11. So really powerful. I think this is like if we were doing like a tier list, that'd be like an A tier commander. However, I think if you have like Mimeoplasm is good enough that you could make this your plan A. Your plan A could be this card. I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. But our plan A is going to be this card, Birthing Pod. What Birthing Pod does, really quick, is you sacrifice a creature, and then you tutor up a creature that is 1 mana cost more. So, like, if we go ahead and add Eternal Witness, card with a powerful end of the battlefield effect, and you can see our little budget is going, our $100 is going to go quickly. This is a $4 card. But you probably, if you played Modern, if you played Magic, you probably have an Eternal Witness lying around that you can use. And I sorted these by budget. I'm not sure why it's putting a 3 in front of a 4. That's fine. But then, so you throw away to... I can't spell words. I'll try Simulacrum should be easier to spell, since apparently I'm spelling Solemn wrong. Yeah, I was trying to put a U in there. Solemn is another little nice... I think I'm going to not summarize the cards that are just like nice end of the battlefield effects unless I'm really have something specific to say about them. But, you know, here's 2 cards. If you don't know them, they're really good just like in terms of what they do when they come into the battlefield. In Solemn's case, also what it does when it dies. So, you know, along with Birthing Pod, you know, if you're just cycling through these creatures, you're just tapping this and, you know, maybe you've got a way to untap it. You're doing some powerful things. Speaking of untapping it, we might want some untap effects. You run a little bit of danger with a card like Deceiver Exarch, because you put this in your deck, and yeah, it can be really handy just as a utility creature to tap down your opponent's stuff, or untap something of yours. But someone might think you're playing combo if they see this card. Hopefully, we're not playing red, we're not playing white, so we don't have like Kiki or Twin. So hopefully they know that we're not like trying to combo off with Exarch. But I think this is good as just an option to untap your Birthing Pod. So yeah, we've got our pod in there. We're going to be building some creature chains that work well with pod. We're going to be doing some library filtering to make it easier to find Birthing Pod. And that's going to be our main plan. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to really support Mimeoplasm that much. So let's take a card that's probably run in every Mimeoplasm deck. Buried Alive. Search your library for up to 3 creatures, put them into your graveyard. If you wanted Mimeoplasm to be your plan A, this is really good. You could do like you could do this with, I believe Palinchron and Vorinclex have not been banned to my knowledge. You could find out really quick. So you know, if you wanted to have an infinite mana combo, Palinchron, how much do you? $26. So that right there would be a quarter of our budget if we wanted to add that in. But that's not why we're avoiding it. We're not avoiding it because of that. But we're just not going combo. We're not building a combo deck today. So with this other Vorinclex. With this Vorinclex card, which is also apparently $25, see how quickly you could add up to $100 without doing really anything? Those 2 cards together are an infinite mana combo, and with Buried Alive, you can go fetch both of them, put them in your graveyard, play your Mimeoplasm, and then what happens? You get infinite combo, infinite mana. You also have a huge general. Hopefully you've got something else going on that you can maybe draw some cards or find a way to actually win the game with your infinite mana, cast something. Maybe Buried Alive also puts a 3rd creature in that allows you to win from that infinite mana. But what happens is you play your Buried Alive, you cast your general, and someone just goes like, Remand? And then you're like, oh, we're dead. we just spent like a whole bunch of resources setting up this combo. And then, speaking of Remand, let's go ahead and add a Remand to our deck. It's $2, but it's a really, really good counter spell. We do need some interaction. That's another thing that we want. So yeah, if someone has like a way to... If you're like a 4-man pod, and if you play like turn 3 Buried Alive, turn 4 play your general, make infinite mana, and then because there's 3 other players, if they... Whoop, did I just add... It looked over here like I added a card, but yeah, if you do that kind of alpha strike too early in like a 4-man pod, and I'm kind of building this for the idea of thinking about having a 4-man game, someone casts their Exclude, they cast their Remand, and then they see you as a target because you tried to combo off on turn 4 or 5. It's a totally valid strategy. Sometimes you'll just win with combo very early. I do play some combo decks sometimes, but we're not going to be building budget combo because once we get disrupted, we won't have anything else to do. So we're going to be focusing on this birthing pod strategy. And speaking of birthing pod, let's go get Prime Speaker Xanathar, because what this person will allow us to do, I'm not going to read this to you, it's another birthing pod. It's a birthing pod that you can go get with birthing pod. It's a little bit more frail if people have like a board wipe that kills creatures, but it's really good. It gives us a 4 to pod into, and then you can just like, you probably don't want to pot it away, but it's just like another pod, and you can draw it. It's probably less good than birthing pod, but I don't know. It's fine. We're playing it. I'm not going to turn down a second birthing pod. So let's talk about these chains a little bit more, because we've got a couple 3 mana creatures. What are we doing otherwise at 3 mana? A lot of people might put in, you have a Maya Elder. It's an option. I've definitely played, it's actually fairly budget too. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's a little heavy on the green. It's a little bit of a non-bow with the birthing pod, because when you sacrifice it to draw a card, you can't pot it away. So it's just kind of this thing that you're killing. I think it's okay. I think it's an option. There's another card that I would rather have for this deck if it's not... yeah, it's under $1. Secure Tribe-Elder is a good 2 for Birthing Pod, just because it's... Oh, it's not a good 2 for Birthing Pod, because when you have to sacrifice it to get the effect. So buy Secure Tribe-Elder. I was hoping that you would be a good choice. I guess not. Let's think of good 2s for Birthing Pod. It's a good 2-mana creature to sacrifice. So here's where we can go ahead over here and do a little syntax search. CMC equals 2, commander equals UBG. I'm not going to explain what this syntax means, but it's very handy to know these rules for looking at cards. Type creature. And then this is going to be way too long of a list to actually go through. But it's going to give you just like some options for things that you could maybe play as your 2-mana pod target. I think, Augur of Bolas is a good one. Augur of Bolas, we have to go through our deck later and make sure that we have... another way we can filter this is Oracle enters. That way we're not staring at 1,000 cards. Just get stuff with end of the battlefield triggers. Baleful Strix is a little pricey, and it's also black. I think black's going to be our splash, but it's a fine 2. And also, if we're potting away a 1 to get it, we're not casting it. I think Elvish Visionary would be reasonable. Cavern Harpy is an interesting one because it's a way to return creatures to our hand if we want to recast them for their effect. But it's a little... I don't know. I don't know about Cavern Harpy right now. Coiling Oracle is... we don't want too many 2-drops, but I think that's just a classic thing to just draw you a card. Elvish Visionary is fine. It's just deck thinning, really. I did consider Apocryphite, but I think that might not be exactly where we want to be. Gilded Drake by itself is more than our budget, more than our entire budget for this. So that's fun. I think we have enough. Hydroid Krasis. I considered running Hydroid Krasis in a version of Mimeoplasm. Lots of dollars for this budget build. Lotus Cobra, you could put in your... Lotus Cobra's kind of gone down from what I thought it would be. I'd like to find maybe one more. Mesmeric Fiend, some nice disruption, but we're not trying to be base black. Omen Speaker, no. Oh, Revoker, that'd be a fun one. So Revoker gives us something else to do. It gives us a little bit of disruption. Because we can play this and we can name like, any non-land card, and it doesn't say that you can't name mana sources. So if somebody plays like a, whoop, don't want to leave the site. If somebody plays like a Coalition Relic, for example, and you just want to turn off their Coalition Relic, you can. $4 is good enough. Go ahead, and we might have to cut some expensive cards at some point, but Coalition Relic is pretty darn good fixing. So let's see, we have 3 cards at the 3 mana spot. I think that's pretty decent for 3. Let's see, we go over here and just change this to 3, and then we have a whole nother list of creatures that we can look through. I don't think I want like a Moldrifter type effect. Armored Scab would be, again, if you're going like main Mimeoplasm plan, could be an option. Oh, I know what I want. I know what I want. I want Wood Elves. I think Wood Elves should be fairly affordable. 60 cents is fine. And then Farhaven Elf. These are... Why play these over something like Civic Wayfinder, you might wonder? This puts a basic land into play tapped, so we actually get the land into play. Wood Elves puts it into play untapped, which might matter. And then something like Civic Wayfinder, which I think you'll find this, I think it's in like some of the Commander precons, maybe not, but cards like it are in the precons. This one just puts it into your hand, which is a little less useful. While I've got these types of effect on my brain, I should put in Cultivate, and Kodama's Reach is going to be expensive, but if it's under like $5, I'll play it. Oh, $2. Yeah, we'll play that for $2. So now we've got a ton of our fixing figured out. We've got a Coalition Relic, we've got a Cultivate. If we get any number of 3 basics in play, we can slam a Kodama's Reach, Coalition, Cultivate, one of these elves, and then we're like set. We're in the money for mana. So mana, we have 1,000,000 threes, we have 1,000,000 mana. Not super worried about that. Looking at these 4-drops, Solemn is a good 4-drop to hit. Let's go back to the spicy list. Oh, you know what? Evil Twin. Evil Twin. Because we want some clone effects. Evil Twin is 33 cents. It is a clone that comes in the battlefield as a copy of something, it taps for 2 to destroy the other version of it. So, super cool. Phyrexian Metamorph might be a little expensive for this deck, but if it's something we can afford, then I'll run it. What is going on? My keyboard's acting a little weird. I gotta clean this keyboard at some point. $5. $5 for something that can copy any artifact or creature. I think it's worth it. It's really... so we can pop over here and just see this long list of cards that, oh my god, can't read all these million cards. We're not even through the A's yet. For Archaeomancer, hey, that's a good one. That's like a Mnemonic Wall. Speaking of which, let's add Mnemonic Wall. So Archaeomancer and Mnemonic Wall. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but I did want to show you kind of candidly how I deck build. These are options for returning instants and sorceries from our graveyard to our hand. We're going to have a little bit of self-mill going on. And we're also going to be just like playing powerful sorceries and instants. So being able to rebuy them, having an option to rebuy them, I think is good. So we're starting to fill up the deck with stuff. And that's one of our 5s, so that'll be a powerful 5. So I could keep searching this list of creatures where they enter the battlefield and they do something, but I want to try typing in copy and seeing if I can just look at some clones. What... I expected more clones to be shown when I did that. Maybe I get rid of enters. I don't know why that would matter. Could also get rid of creature, because they're not all going to be creatures. Clever Impersonator, copying any non-land permanent for $1.80 is going to be worth it. Sakashima's Student at $26. See how quickly you get up there in money. We do have this set to be... Let's get rid of the CMC for a little bit, and creatures that are copy of, and see if we can get some... See how much Phantasmal Image is. Because I will run... Body Double is kind of a worse version of our General, but I think it's fine. Costs 5, but hey, we need 5s to pot into anyway, right? So let's go and see. I could just type Phantasmal Image instead of scrolling through these, but I'm seeing if there's anything that catches my mind on the way down. Mirror Image could be fun. It's 31 cents, so it wouldn't eat into our budget, and it would copy something we control. That could be really good. Image is $5. We don't need it. Progenitor Mimic I like a lot. So this card right here, I don't know if I want to run it for sure. It'd be a 6 to pot into, and we don't have any 6s yet. At the beginning of your upkeep, if it's not a token, create a copy of it. So it comes into play, and you just clone something, which is nice. And then you just get a copy. And the nice thing about... So I should explain with your tokens, because you're going to want to know the CMC of your tokens for Birthing Pod, especially if you're playing this in paper. I'll add it for now. I don't know if we'll be able to keep it. But when you make... Here, Precursor Golem's a good example of kind of a non-bow. This makes 2 3/3 Golem colorless tokens, and you might think that's awesome. I'll just pot away some of these tokens, and then I'll have like a bunch of 5 CMC tokens on my battlefield. No, that doesn't work. That does not work because the tokens are 0 CMC because it just says put 3/3 colorless golems onto the battlefield. Still a card you can consider for this deck. It adds 9 power to the board for 5 mana. You pot away 3 power of it, then you get something. In fact, I might run it. I might run it after making fun of it. But what Progenitor Mimic does is anytime you have a token that is literally a copy of a creature, that token does have CMC. It has the CMC equal to the whatever it copied. So that's super handy. I think we're kind of straying off into like too many clone territory. So we'll go back to a little bit more of a disciplined. I don't really need to search for the 6s because I feel like I know what some of our payoff 6s are going to be. Duplicate gives us a little bit of disruption. It's a little... It's not terribly pricey. 173. And again, this is another card where it's been reprinted enough times. I bet you guys just have a duplicate lying around. So, you know, maybe I'm being a broken record about this budget stuff, but you know, you probably have a copy of duplicate sitting somewhere, right? Exiles a creature and gains its power and toughness. It's solid removal, and the fact that we can pot into it is really nice. And a lot of cards like this, I feel like if this was printed today, it would be like, oh, as long as duplicate's on the battlefield. But no, you can pot away duplicate, and the other creature's still gone. So, yeah, we have 2 6s. I feel like we could get some spicy 6s going on, like maybe like kind of an aggressive... Oh, you know what? Deadwood Tree Folk. I keep like typing like, and then as I'm typing, I'm like, what do I want to see there? Nice little 20-cent card. When it enters the battlefield or leaves, you get to return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. So all those things you're potting away, you're just getting value. You're just bringing them back. But yeah, let's go over here and see. I think we're gonna, like, since we have Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, and a bunch of stuff, I think we're gonna hit 6 CMC a lot. So let's see. Oh, this reminds me. This made me think of an Endrick Stomp Howler. We probably want to put some things in here that actually kill artifacts, because what kind of pod deck are you if you can't pod into some sort of artifact destruction? Aether Snipe, I don't think is exactly where we want to be. It can be evoked, which is kind of nice, but I don't think it's... Evoke doesn't really do anything with our deck. Brutalizer Exarch, I liked this card a lot more back when what's the word I'm looking for? Back when tucking a commander to the bottom actually worked, because it was a way to put commanders on the bottom. Now it's still good, like removing a threat to the bottom of the library is nice. But the main mode, is going to be this Worldly Tutor effect. So I think a Worldly Tutor effect might be handy. Like if we draw this and play it, we can go get Xanathar, and then we have something that we can. Silumgar, I would play if it wasn't like $11. Silumgar is really good if you have one. Denoverhar is a consideration. Draining Welk, having a counter spell. So this is really bad to pot into, because you can only birthing pot at sorcery speed. So you're never gonna like pot into this as a counter, unfortunately. It's a card that you could put in the deck anyway because it's just so good. The best Titan for us is banned, unfortunately. Green Warden of Muramasa. So this is a double. I like this card. I was trying to remember what this card was earlier. It's a little bit similar to our Deadwood Treefolk, but it's a double Eternal Witness. Like it's literally double Eternal Witness. So I think that's justifiable. We might be running into too many sixes at this point. Massacre Worm, if you have one, it's a nice include. Noxious Gearhurl kind of does the same thing as Duplicant. Like it's another. I mean, it's nice to have like a bunch of Flame Tongue Kavu type stuff, but we're also trying not to play too much black. So if we just draw it, it's a double mana card. What is the other? I think the blue Gearhulk I actually do want. Prime Speaker Zagana I'll take. Zagana is. Yeah, it's fine to pot into. This is like the other card that does something like this. The one that you like pay X and draw like half the cards is probably better, but this is also like a sixth the cost. So it's a way to draw some cards and put some power on the board. I like it. Just kind of, I'm gonna get out of here because I think the very last six that I want is the Torrential Gear Hulk. Why is that so hard to say? Ugh. $5 is a little bit pricey, but it's a Snapcaster Mage that we can actually afford. So like that's kind of like it kind of finishes our cycle of Archaeomancer, and then Mnemonic Wall. Wow, we only have 2 5s. We need to get back into the 5-drops a little bit. Yeah, Mnemonic Wall, Torrential Gearhulk, and Archaeomancer is a nice little combo. And you know what? I want to actually think about sixes. So for sixes, I really don't need any help because I know that I want. Can I remember what the card's called? Rune. Is there a. Yeah. I love this card. Runescar Demon. So it's a 6/6 flyer for 7, which in EDH you can win with a 6/6 flyer for 7. Not everything has to be a combo kill. Sometimes just attacking for 6 in the air a couple turns in a row will get you there. Especially late in the game after people have exhausted their resources and maybe some people have been knocked out. But the main thing that this does is it's a demonic tutor effect. So it goes and puts something in our library. And I really love this card paired with Mimeoplasm because, man, if you play this and then pot into one of your 8s and you've got a Mimeoplasm you can cast, like, bringing Mimeoplasm back as this, you've just tutored up everything you could ever want in the world, haven't you, at that point? And then another budget card that is very similar. Sphinx. I have no idea what the Sphinx is called. Not Lost Truths. Let's just search. It's the Fact or Fiction Sphinx. It's gonna be in here somewhere. Sphinx of Athun, 14 cents. It's basically the same as Runescar Demon, only instead of Demonic Tutor, you're Fact or Fictioning, which it's a little bit of a downgrade, and you trade away a point of power, but it's a totally reasonable 7 to go get. Let's look at the Primordials. I can't do syntax search in here, so let's go over here. CMC 7. And Oracle Primordial. See how quickly you can search up exactly what you want. Sylvan Primordial, I believe, is still banned in ATH. Does it say? Do I have to go to the... Oh, no. I don't want to navigate away. I think this might be still banned in EDH, even though it's the silliest ban ever. This just got caught up in the Primeval Titan hate. But Diluvian is really good. I have won games. Like, I know this card looks silly. It's a 5/5 flyer for 7. It doesn't actually look that silly once you read it. Think about this in a 3 or 4 man pod. You are, I'm aware I'm talking fast. I'm trying to get this video done in under an hour. So you play this card, and then it doesn't, and you can cheat into the battlefield. It doesn't have to be cast, which should be a theme in all of our cards. You play this and cast instants and sorceries from people's graveyard. We are budget. We can't play a card like Bribery, I don't think. I assume it's like $30. I haven't even looked at it. But what we can do is we can cast Bribery from our opponent's graveyard off of this. And if you get 3 spells, three of the hardest hitting best spells from your opponent's graveyard, like you're just gonna win. You're just done with the game. And then Sepulchral. This is a word I swear. If I was not streaming, I'd be like, oh, a sepulcher, and it would come out fine. But because I'm recording, I'm like marshmallow primordial. Words are hard. Sepulchral primordial. I swear I know how that's supposed to be pronounced, but tongue-tied. Intimidate is not bad. Is not a bad way to get some evasion onto a creature. But being able to put creatures from opponents' graveyards just onto the battlefield, I feel like not everybody is running amazing creatures and not everybody's binning them. But I think that this is... we might have just like too many creatures, but it's a viable option. So we're getting... Oh, we're only at 38 cards. I thought we were at more cards. Our budget's we're at $81, so we have to be careful about what we add, and we have to start cutting things that cost. We might not be able to, we might have to cut, Metamorph and some of the less important things that are driving up the cost of this deck. And I know things are starting to, fall off the screen a little bit, like Torrential Gear Hulk is, getting a little off there. We can minimize, we can go to, smaller view. But I'd rather have a couple cards be cut off and have you guys have a prayer of a chance of reading some of these for right now. So we need some 8-drops. 8-drops, it's kind of a slam dunk. You can't play a Birthing Pod deck in Constructed without Woodfall Primus. How dare? How could you not do that? And then other 8s. I'm going to go back to the search. I really don't... I mean, Creator Hoof, if it wasn't literally half our budget, and probably banned. If Creator Hoof is not banned, it should be. There's a lot of reasonable options here. I think Terastodon is fine. My value of Terastodon has gone down a little bit, but I think it's a reasonable option. I think Sundering Titan recently got banned. I could be wrong. Yeah, a lot of these others are just not quite... I'm not quite sold on them. How much is Bribery, by the way? I assume it's like $30. Unless it got reprinted. $18, yeah. We're not running Bribery. We cannot afford that. So one thing we have to fix right now is we need another 5-drop, because we can't be playing... We can't be playing 2 5s, because we could just, end up drawing... you could play 3. Acidic Slime, done. Acidic Slime is a good... I did say I wanted stuff that we could pot into to deal with artifacts. I don't think we need that at every level, but having just a couple options to... Yeah, I don't need to look through all of these. A card I would like in this deck, even though it's not a great... You can get kind of blown out with this card on either side of it. Mimic Vat is a very interesting rare, where if a non-token creature dies, you get to exile it, and then for 3 mana, you can copy it. So the copies have haste and go away, but if you get something that's a really big end of the battlefield effect, a card that just comes in and draws 2 or whatever. Speaking of, do I not have Muldrifter in here yet? You guys I'm talking about good 5s, and you guys are probably screaming at me Muldrifter, where is it? Under $1. Easy auto include. So now we have 4 5-drops, and I feel a lot better about that. I'm looking at our 3s. I would love to get something like Reclamation Sage, which I apparently didn't spell even close to wrong, right? I would love to get something like Reclamation Sage in here. That might be critical mass of 3 drops. We now have one. We now have a lot of 3s. A lot of these are just spells. Do we need Exarch? Exarch's kind of cute because it, like, we can pot away. It basically lets us like skip a turn if we don't have something good out. We can like we can pot it. We can pot a 2 into an Exarch, untap pod, and pot into one of our 4s. I don't know how good that actually is. Well, it's fine for now. We're getting to 87. We're getting close to our budget, which is a little scary. You know what I would love is I would love a way to. Oh, speaking of budget, like Soul Ring is the best card that you could run in EDH. It's better than most of the Power 9. Enough said. So yeah, we'll run Soul Ring, and then we'll run. Because we don't have enough. Because we don't have enough 3-drops, put in Trinket Mage to go get Soul Ring, and I'm also going to put in a couple, just whatever comes to mind. And remember, this is just kind of a first draft of a deck. Like, there's probably better stuff than Horizon Spellbomb, but it's just I want to have another target for Trinket Mage if Soul Ring's gone. And I think Horizon Spellbomb's fine. It's not the most exciting. You could run the Black Spellbomb too. It kind of hurts us to be removing stuff from graveyards, so it's not like my first choice, but it's better than Relic of Progenitus in this deck. If you want to compare the two, because Relic removes things from all graveyards. We definitely don't want to do that. Yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Do I want to run... How much do I care about having another... you know what? Maybe Everflowing Chalice. It's a little expensive for EDH. I mean, in terms of what it costs to cast, but it's another thing to go get from Trinket Mage, especially late game. Like if you want... I don't know. It'll give us another option. Does it have to be exactly 1? I think Trinket Mage is 1 or less, right? Where'd the card go? 1 or less. Okay, so we can go get Everflowing Chalice. And then there's a couple cards that are like Trinket Mage that aren't Trinket Mage. So if we go ahead and do CMC 3, and we don't need Oracle, just name Mage. We're gonna get Treasure Mage for 6 manas, so we could add this to have another way to go get Duplicate. So, I mean, we have a million 3s, but the ability to go get, like, Duplicate's a pretty powerful card. I don't mind being able to go get Duplicate. And 6 or greater. Do we have any other? I'm gonna put all these in for now, and I might cut them later. Tribute and Trophy. Tribute is exactly 2. Trophy is exactly 3. So Trophy. Let's talk about Trophy. Coalition Relic and Mimic Vat. That is already worth it. That is like you go get Mimic Vat if you have no mana issues. You go get Coalition Relic if you want to ramp. 2 targets is fine. For the Tribute Mage, we don't have anything in here yet because I didn't really feel the need to go there just quite yet. But let's go toss our... we can't afford Arcane Signet, unfortunately. It's a really good card. Just can't swing it. Can't justify it. I have to believe that there's a cheaper Dimir Signet. That can't be the 238 Dimir Signet. Yeah, $2 on a Dimir Signet. It's fine. How much are the talismans? Not pristine talisman. How much are these guys down here? One of them's $5. Jesus. Talisman of Curiosity is 38 cents, and it's our main 2 colors. That's going in. So that gives us a bunch of mana rocks that we can go get with the is it Tribute? Yeah, with Tribute Mage, And then we can go get Phyrexian Revoker as Disruption, and we can go get Baleful Strix. I think that that's totally fine. That's totally reasonable. So that covers that. And then the only questionable one in here is Treasure Mage, which I think is the worst of the group. We have Duplicant, we have Torrential Gearhulk. That's 2 targets. 2 pretty good targets. I could add Mirror Battlesphere if I wanted a 3rd. If I wanted, yeah, well, I think 2 is fine. But also a little bit more top end wouldn't hurt. How much is Mirror Battlesphere? 30 cents. Yeah, I mean, it gives us, if we want to pot into, let's say that I tend to think of decks in terms of like, oh, we're winning, but we just need some disruption to like continue winning. If there is somebody who's like going really crazy with like tokens on the ground, or they just have like a really hard hitting general, being able to like keep doing what you're doing and putting a bunch of blockers on the field, I think is really good. We are looking at some curve issues now. I'm actually going to cut. I don't think Yavi Elder is as strong as Wood Elves or Farhaven Elf. Even though I know it's a classic card, I'm going to cut that because we have too many 3s. And a lot of our 3s just like go get mana. I really like the idea of any of our 2s getting us. How many 2s do we even have? We have enough. I like the idea of any of our 2s being able to go get. What's it called? Like I love the mage package. I think it's hilarious. Rex Sage, I think, is good to blow stuff up. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's okay. Like we can't have everything in a 100 card deck. Sorry for the scrolling. Hopefully that's helpful. And we're getting really close to our budget, so I would love to add. We have no one mana cards in this deck. I would like to get Birds of Paradise in here if I can. It's I don't know why the Alpha Birds is showing up as $1.80, but I'm not gonna question it. I'm just gonna say that this probably represents $1.80 Birds of Paradise that exists somewhere in some world. If it doesn't, that's my bad. Elves of Deep Shadow helps us with our Black Splash, and like these aren't great 1 mana cards to pot away, but I do think that this is better. Like we could try CMC1 type creature, and then Oracle enters. Sorry if this. I don't know how much this mic's picking up my keyboard. I hope not too much. And then yeah, we could go get some 1 CMC things that like come into the battlefield and do something, and they'd probably be fine. But that's not kind of like I'm kind of okay with our 1s just being like they're not going to be that powerful in terms of 1. We're never going to pod into a 1. We're never going to pod from a 0 into a 1. So I would rather have our 1s just be like good cards. How much is Deathrite Shaman? It's probably way out of our budget. Yeah, at this point, it'd be a really good starter card for us, but it's a little bit out of our budget. Let's just look at some. So let's just round out the deck a little bit. Forbidden Alchemy, really good. Notion Rain, 10 cents. Lets us Surveil is kind of like better scry. So being able to it's a scry that lets us put stuff in the graveyard. So this is just don't play Divination in this deck. Play something spicy like Notion Rain. Telling Time should be cheap. 19 cents. So this is kind of like a worse Ponder, but it's 19 cents. So we're at 60 cards. We have a million ramps. I'm okay with only playing like 35 lands, especially if the other things that are going in are like rounding up the mana. We are really close to our budget, but we're not going to be worrying about basic lands for our budget, so that helps a little. What in here is like really expensive? Baleful Strix I like because it's part of our fetching with Tribute Mage. What do I not need that's like really costly? Birthing Pot I need. Clever Impersonator is not that much. Was Body Double a lot? Or any of these like random... I'm trying to see if there's anything in here that's like really... Progenitor Mimic, I don't like it $4 enough. We have enough cards to hit at that price. Like we have targets. Yeah, that frees up a little bit of budget. To then go add like, how much is Opt? There's a million Opts. 15 cents. Opt is going in the deck. Serum Visions might be a little bit out of our price range. These are just like the cards that shrink your deck size. $1.37. How much is Brainstorm? I already added Ponder, right? Brainstorm's half the price, and we don't have a lot of shuffle effects, but that's okay. I added Ponder, right? Preordain, Too Rich for Our Blood. We're getting there. We have 61 cards. We don't have a lot of what is the Primordial Command? Isn't that what it's called? Command. It's a green card. What am I like, isn't it, what am I thinking of? Go over here, Commander, UPG, Command. Is it just not in here? Primal Command, that's what it's called. And it's only $1. So this card, it goes ahead and it can go put Birthing Pot on top of our library, which we don't have anything that can go find us Birthing Pot in this deck. That's kind of a weakness. Maybe a weakness that we should address, because we don't have any way to search for pod other than, like, digging. Yeah, let's go add this. A lot of the modes I don't think are... yeah, I mean, it's a card that I'd like to... I think it does a lot. It definitely merits a slot. Do I have anything... Alright, I don't have anything banned yet. I don't know if... I'm going to add some cards that might be banned. But then I'm going to go check them and see if they are. So Treasure Cruise. 35 cents to draw 3, and Delve is kind of like anti what we want. I can't remember what the other Treasure Cruise type effect is. Let's see. Oracle, Delve, Oracle, draw. Is that the only... Oracle 7, Oracle draw. Maybe it's not a Delve card. You guys know what I'm thinking about. It's the other card that came out when Treasure Cruise and... Like, Treasure Cruise and this got banned around the same time in a lot of formats. I'll find it, and then you guys will be like, oh, that card. Maybe it's... I think it's like, look at 7-2-2, so maybe draw is throwing this off. 7, 2, and then we know it's a blue card. I think it's a, okay, so Dig Through Time. Dig Through Time is $5. Never mind. So now let's go check our, okay, I guess Treasure Cruise is not banned. It's not giving me that as a deck error, so we'll play Treasure Cruise and be happy we can. Let's try, Compulsive Research. We have so many artifacts that I think... Oh, that's the land one. What's the, Compulsive Research is good. We'll add that. What's the... CMC 3. And then Oracle, draw, Oracle 3. Dreamcache is not bad for what it costs. Forensic Search is not bad for what it costs either, but those are not the cards I had in mind. Thirst for Knowledge. That is a great way to dig right there. Thirst for Meaning. I don't think we have enough enchantments to make this good. I'll add it for the time being. It's like a silly... But honestly, instant speed drawing Drawing 3 cards and discarding 2 is not terrible. Do we even run any enchantments at all? Not really. Let's see. Views, sort by types. There is 0 enchantments in this deck by CMC. Okay, so sorry, Thirst for Meaning. You're always going to be... I mean, bidding cards is not bad. But if we want to bid cards, we're better off with careful consideration. Drawing 4, discarding 3, I think is going to be something that we're okay doing because we're Mimeoplasm. We're okay with bidding a bunch of cards. And now we're at the point where I really need to consider this curve because we're at 66 cards, 65 without lands because we already have a command tower in here. And Sol Ring's basically a land. I think the rest of the deck needs to be... We have a crazy curve bulk at 3. I think I'm going to say goodbye to... Like, my gut's telling me to cut Deceiver Exarch. So Deceiver Exarch, it's a little dangerous because someone might look at that and think that we're playing combo. I know it's a silly reason to cut a card. If you don't like that cut, you could cut Farhaven Elf because it's so dang similar to Wood Elves, and it's also so similar to like our Cultivate or our Kodama's Reach. But I think early ramp is worth it. You know, we might have too many of those effects. I think we do have too many of those. Like, if we draw these late, they're not that good. So yeah, let's cut Farhaven. I would love a... you know what I'd like in this deck? We're not really a flicker type deck, but a single ghostly like flicker type effect I think is really powerful. And then one more piece of disruption, speaking of enchantments. Steel. This has nothing to do with the theme of our deck, but I love Steel Artifact. This card, just like, you know, if you pick up nothing else from this video where you're like, oh, that's like a cool, I didn't know that card existed. You don't need to go out and spend $40 or whatever on Dak Faden. If you just want to gain control of an opponent's artifact, there's just this enchantment right here. And there's less enchantment hate in EDH than there is like artifact and creature hate. There is a lot, but there's less. So, yeah, Steel Artifact, just a nice one. You know what I want to get in here? Peregrine Drake. It's not quite... I didn't run Palinchron in this, so maybe this is silly to run this. But being able to untap, like... Just being able to cast this and then have, like some kind of counter magic open is really nice. We've got a little bit of budget left for actual like lands, but when I say a little, I mean we have $2.50 left. Let's go look at our lands. And I honestly think, even though this is going to be... It's so little mana, but so much of what we have is like signets and stuff that I think we're fine. And yeah, I'm going to cut Exarch just to have... cut Exarch for like a basic. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at what lands can we afford to play. I think there's a Sultai land. I don't know the cards that... Ooh, Sultai Charm. So I really want to play Sultai Charm. It's really just versatile. It stretches our mana a little bit, but it's really good removal. And then the draw 2 discard a card is like perfect for our deck. Yeah, our mana's going to be tight. Isn't there a Sultai land that I wanted? Or maybe it's like, maybe it's got a different name. Alright. Type, land, and then... I don't actually know the syntax for price, but we can go look together. Whoop! Hopefully that didn't just ruin the video by opening a Scryfall. Well... Okay, so... USD and then equals, or USD less than... Alright, let's try that. USD less than 1 Or less than 2? Did that work? Yes, it did. Okay, so now we're just looking at lands that are less than $2. And that one random non-land in there, I don't know, it must turn into a land or something. So I know that I want... I don't care about Bojuka Bog. I like Castle Vantress a lot, but no thank you. Not right now. Command Tower we've got in there, which is good. So I'm going a little slow because this is where it starts to matter. This is where we're like getting this mana base done. Demir Aqueduct, your mileage may vary with like whether or not it's worth it to run bounce lands. I think that they're worth it. If your group has a lot of like land hate, then it might not be a good call. But I'm down for it. Exotic Orchard in a 4-man pod should tap for your colors. Like this should at least produce blue. Probably taps for blue-green and comes into play untapped. So I mean that's probably worth it right there. One of the problems I have with the precons is a lot of the like EDH precons run just like guild gates and stuff, and I think that that's a little silly. And they run a lot of cards like Gateway Plaza and Rupture Spire, which don't spend your whole turn 2 just like... You could play a Signet on turn 2 and have much better mana than playing a Rupture Spire. I really want this to show us the... what is it called? Ooh, there's a manland for like $1.25, but we can't afford that. Yeah, and these like pay 1, gain 1 life when it comes into play. A lot of those are in the EDH precons. I don't get that at all. I don't understand it. This is probably too many lands. This is probably showing me... Mortuary Mire I do want for 16 cents, absolutely. Being able to put a creature on top of our graveyard is nice. Mystic Sanctuary is not bad. We're not running it. Nephalia Drownyard is how much? 56 cents. That's very, very good. I'm very tempted. It's self-mill for a land slot. I think that's worth it. And then Opulent Palace is real. That's the card I was trying to remember. I don't know why I thought that had Sultai in the name, but that's just a... We'll accept that as a land that comes into play tapped because it produces all of our colors. And then that might be it for the... I don't really care about the cycling lands. I think we've only gotten 2 out of 3 of the... Yeah, we haven't hit the... Simic Growth Chamber. That is 3 out of 3 of our bounce lands. Now, do I really care about any of these like little cyclers or whatever's down at the bottom? I don't think so. I don't think I do. Wow, these temples have gone way down. Temple of Mystery, 81 cents to scry 1 and have it come to play tapped. I'll accept it. I don't want too many tap lands in here. That's how you get a turn behind, is too many tap lands. I'm okay with Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic because we need some way to actually like shuffle after brainstorming or doing like a brainstorm type effect. This has put us 96 cents over. So let's see, what can we cut that's like $1? Looking at all these 3s. I don't think our 3s are that expensive though. Maybe we don't need this many... How much is Green Warden? Green Warden's really good. Sagana would free up a lot of our budget. How much is Opt? Opt is not bad. How much was Ponder? $1.80. Goodbye, Ponder. Ponder's good, but we're gonna say goodbye to it. So that's 78 cards. We're at 12 lands. So let's go ahead and add a... And remember, we're not going to be counting the basics. So like I can go ahead, go back to the budget. 99.13. We are at our budget. So even if these basics take us over, we're not worried about it. Sorry, I just bumped the table pretty hard. You might have heard some mic wobble there. We're gonna be basic. We're gonna be base forests, and then islands aren't gonna be too far behind. So let's see. If we add like, let's go up to like 12 forests, 13 forests, and then that let's try 12. Nope, down, not up. And that gives us room for how many islands? I did click the island button, right? Nope, apparently not. I guess I got a little bit of lag there. All right, so island. We're not actually that heavy green. Like, I mean, it's worth it for like turn 1 birds. We do need. I'm actually gonna go 10, 11. That's really. I'm not gonna go ahead and like count our mana options. By the way, you can't see down here. We have like birds down here, and things are getting a little bit. Let's zoom out a little. That looks atrocious. All right, so yeah, hopefully you can see like most of the deck on screen now. You can see our curve a little bit better. Yeah, that's 34 lands, which does not seem like enough lands to me. And we still have that crazy curve issue. But, I mean, like, a lot of these cards aren't really... Like, Exclude is not a 3-mana play. Ghostly Flicker... Like, you're not playing Ghostly Flicker or, like, Mimic that on curve. You're playing those to... like, a lot of those are going to be in combination with, like, potting something away... passing turn with counter magic up, and then you Ghostly Flicker, or you do whatever. So I'm not worried about our threes, even though they look pretty bad. 34 lands seems light, but we have a talisman and 3 signets. We have a soul ring. We have like so much mana sources, and we're green that I think we're actually in a good spot. I did go over the hour. We went to we're at hour and 2 minutes, but I think we have the deck. If you were going to improve upon this deck, I think like some kind of like if you wanted to be like, let's try and see if we can find. We're right at the budget, but artifact, search, hand. If you could find some way to search. So fabricate, for example. Going and searching your library. This is exactly what you might want. Searching your library for an artifact, putting it in your hand, and then shuffling it to go get your birthing pod a little easier. That would be a big deal. That would be a very, very big deal. But we're not going to worry about it because that is $6. I do not want to make room for $6 in our deck. This is where we're at. If you have a copy... Here's the thing. When you go build this deck, you're not going to build it with 11 forests and 10 islands. Because you're like, hey, Jack, I've been playing Modern. I've been playing Standard. I have Hickory Woodlot and blah, blah, blah Cemetery and Breeding Pool and Drowned Catacombs. You know, you probably have some cards that are not listed here. So, yeah, don't worry too much about... and again, like just to double check this budget, it does say 178. Scroll over, you see that cost without basic lands. So we're still under 100. But yeah, you can make this a lot better with stuff that you have. If you have a copy of Massacre Worm, or you have a Wormcoil Engine, or you have a Bribery. Yes, like Bribery is an amazing card. You can put that in there, and it'll work just fine. But in terms of like showing, just like. Maybe you didn't know that Tribute Mage existed. Maybe you didn't know Telling Time existed, and you're just trying to like finish that EDH deck or add some stuff. And I do apologize. I feel like Treasure Cruise might be banned, but it says my deck is legal, so I'm going to take it. Maybe it was banned and unbanned. I don't know. And for the love of God, if I can end this video with if anything, speaking of cards that I don't think are banned yet, if you have a Cyclonic Rift because you drafted whatever Ravnica set that was, or you just bought whatever these other two things are, Oh my god, put Cyclonic Rift in this deck. It just steals games. Also put... Oh my god, we're not going to talk for another 2 hours, I promise. We're going to be ending soon. A card that I would have loved to fit in here is Rite of Replication, because it just makes 5 copies of creature. I have played this card in decks that have had these cards, and man, if you want to see... I forgot to put Factor Fiction in here. I forgot to put... Don't cover your mouth, Jack, while you're talking. Alright, how much is Factor Fiction? It's got to be like nothing, right? 31 cents. Add that in there. We're still... Yeah, we're 99.44 without basics. What do I cut for it? What do I cut for Factor Fiction? Bone to Ash, maybe? Sure. We don't need a million. We don't need... We have Remand, we have Exclude, we have enough counters. We have enough counters to make people think we have counters. But yeah, Factor Fiction. Oh, there's a good one. Probably don't cut Bone to Ash. There's probably a better cut in there, but whatever. I'm done with this video. You know, you can figure out how to improve upon this deck. You probably have Preordains and Serum Visions for days and all sorts of stuff you could put in here. If you can find a way to get your Birthing Pod out more consistently or untap it, and you might obviously be looking at this thinking that you want your plan A to be the General. You might not want your plan A to be Mimeoplasm, in which case, yeah, go nuts with your Buried Alive, your Living Death. There's like a million Mimeoplasm decks that you can crib off of that already have done all that. This is just a different way to go. And it's not so much about the deck we built, it's about the thought process and learning how to quickly like search through cards based on syntax and learning how to kind of like organize your ideas into a deck that works. I've played a lot of Mimeoplasm. My Mimeoplasm deck has better mana than this, but the one that I've built and been playing for years actually looks a good amount like this, and it does pretty well. So hopefully that was helpful. I don't think all these videos are going to be this long, but I just want to do some deck building. I think that there's sorely a lack of deck building videos online. A lot of just like deck text that just show you something pre-built. So hopefully this was fun. If you stuck it around this long, that's amazing. If you are here at the hour 7 mark and have not bailed to do something else, please maybe consider subscribing, because this will not be the last of these videos. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.